welcome to my podcast, The Melancholy Guy Talks. And right now, I'm talking about recovery, living with addiction. This is basically a podcast about my life, The Melancholy Guy, daring to be black, open, and free. My adventures while being an open, polyamorous African American male living in recovery. I am the Melancholy Guy, Calvin, or CPJR if you know me. And today, I definitely believe that change I must or die I will. You can find me all over social media by searching for the Melancholy Guy, but I mostly hang out on Instagram. If you'd like to chip in or help out with this podcast, you can find me on Patreon. The link will be down below in the show notes, or you can, like I said, you can find the information or links through social media, through Instagram. Through Instagram, on my in my bio. The links will be there. And as you can see, I kind of tightened up. You can see if you actually have listened to the show before that I've kind of changed the introduction. I'm trying to bring it forward since I'm no longer really talking about my blog. Since I didn't really blog about my addiction. I wrote mostly about the ethical non-monogamy, but I kept the addiction and recovery hidden from people that mattered, and I didn't really talk about it. So I have to change the format a little bit. I may go back to the blog, but I'm kind of really am going into this recovery thing right now, this recovery piece, because actually now I'm really living it, and it's really about change, and it's about changing myself from what I used to be into something new. I don't know. I'm going through changes every day. So anyway, today this is going to be episode 45, and I'm still talking about recovery. Last time I talked about recovery. I listed out there was 3 parts of it. There was early recovery. There was the first 90 days. There was early recovery, and then there was maintaining recovery. And I said that when I come back, I'm going to talk about the first 90 days. And today is February 23rd, 2020, and I am 37 days into my recovery now, or into the first 90 days of my recovery. I haven't found the need to pick up again my drug of choice, which I'm very happy about. And I'm feeling that those first differences in my emotions and in my just regular everyday life. Since I'm not using any substances at all, including alcohol or marijuana. I'm just really freeballing it, and it feels different. Since I'm also talking about it. Luckily, I have a really good friend who came back into my life, and she's kind of in the ministry. She has a degree in seminary. She's been in the seminary. She has a master's in it, and she kind of knows counseling. So she's really been helping me out a lot. With some of these emotions. I'm really fortunate and privileged in that way to have access to her, and she takes the time to help me out, because I'm really feeling emotions for the first time, and I'm trying to not react to certain things. But anyway, today I wanted to go through according to the information that I found on addiction.com. I want to talk about the first 90 days, because that's where I'm at, right? I'm in the first 90 days. And according to them, there are 14 steps for a successful first 90 days. And I'm not going to get through all these today, so this is going to be a 2-parter. So it's going to be part 1 for my first 90 days. And right now, the first step is create and keep to a daily schedule. And that's something I think is very important, which I do anyway. Normally when I'm working, I go to work and I come home, but after work I kind of let things be kind of slide away. And right now, while I'm not working, I do keep a very tight schedule as to when I get up and what I do. And then preparing for this podcast, this actually gives me a good structure, since I do 2 shows a week. I have to really prepare for it. I do some research for it. Then the edits I put together. So it's been keeping me really busy just doing the research. And one thing, if you know me, it's interesting. This addiction affects a big part of my life, and has affected a big part of my life for a long time. And I would say there's 2 pivotal things in my life that I did that there were two pivotal things in my life that caused me to do a lot of research. Well, one is when I got into ethical non-monogamy. I read every book there was to read about it. If you brought up a book, back in the groups that I was in, if you brought up a book, I probably read it. If you brought it up and I didn't read it, I would have read it. I looked at almost everything up on YouTube that is out there. I know every podcast that's out there, because it was something that was important to me, right? I wanted to understand what I was signing up for and understand myself, since I was accepting myself as being someone who preferred to live ethically non-monogamous. I did the research. But one thing I will say, I have to say that I guess I didn't take the same approach to this addiction, because I didn't, I don't know if I ever thought I would beat it. Because I never read a book. I joined, some groups a couple times, NA or AA, and I've been in some rehabs, but I never really read a book on it. I didn't research it. I didn't tackle it as if it was a problem that needed to be tackled, because I didn't understand like what would have to change. Like my life now, I understand. Like it's when I say at the beginning, change I must or die I will. That's a serious thing that I say, because things die off in an addict's life every day as they use. It might not be like their physical bodies dying, but they're, like I said before, when I talked about recovery and spirituality, their spirit is dying. Their relationships are dying. So it's like you have to change. You have to understand that, like you have to embrace the change, and the change is not easy. So I don't want to get too deep into it, because like I said, I only have like 15 minutes right now to do this, but that change is rough. And every day, luckily, like I said, I have a friend now who I hang out with on a regular basis, and I'm lucky that she's up to the challenge. But like I see the patterns that I set up for myself, where I will automatically just push somebody away if they're making too much sense, or not trying to change me, but point out to me where I'm wrong in some areas. I see where I will attack, because I'm Aries, I'm a fire sign, so I can go from 0 to 100 real fast, and I see where that doesn't benefit me. It's funny to see that on the internet and stuff like that, but in real life, that doesn't really benefit me to be like that. To just all of a sudden be able to just not just hear something and interpret it as someone attacking me, or someone trying to change me or belittle me, and then I just go into attack mode. And a lot of times I'm just wrong. But I can see, like, if I go into the addiction model, that's part of my addiction, just trying to push people away, because addiction, if you believe in the disease model, loves alienation. It wants me to be lonely, like the Hulk thing, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. It wants me to feel like I don't have anyone to turn to, or I can rely on anyone, so I'm just always attacking people for things I don't understand. Like, that's something that I have to research. So I need to set aside time, create a schedule where I take some time to study. I'm reading a book now. I'm taking time to meditate every day. I'm taking time to read, to prepare for this podcast, because this is an important part of my life, and without this part of my life, there's nothing that's going to work. Work, family, friends, tribe, ethical non-monogamy, none of that's going to work. It's not going to work successfully. So that's one of so I'm going to move on to number 2 now, because I'm running low on time. Make meetings a priority. Now, this is something that I think I'm going to make it two points this time, because I need to talk about the 12-step meetings, NAAA, and how they're going to fit into my life. I do right now attend like an online meeting every day. It's an NA meeting, and it's on every day. It's on in the room meetings intheroom.com, and they have meetings through video like every day for AA, NA, and a lot of other different type of addictions and disorders that you can have. But basically, you can just sit in on the meetings, you can participate, you can talk, all the things that you would do in a normal, regular face-to-face meeting, but it's just not face-to-face. And I'm gonna need to like stretch that out a little more. I kind of went off on a tangent about me and my recovery. But I'm about to come back to that because I'm down like 4 minutes now. I'd be glad when I could do more longer episodes, which will be coming soon. I'm just going to trust the universe on that because I'm down like 4 minutes. I just want to say that meetings, I have a very strange relationship with the steps. I've talked about it before about the higher power thing, how I'm just around right now. I'm a spiritual agnostic. I had a problem with that higher power piece, but I've decided on what that higher power is for me. And I'm not gonna discuss that right now, but that's helped me. Now the meanings, I'm not a joiner. That's another thing that I probably need to address soon. But I'm a person that believes in tribe, and I probably need to search out more meanings, but I don't have the resources to do that. But I am sort of like building tribe right now with people that I know, and I'm trying to do that more and more as time progresses. That's why I'm talking openly about who I am and where I am right now. So if somebody wants to, help out, and they can, but that's what I'm gonna do with that. But meetings, if you need those, I definitely think that you should do those. Now the steps. 12 steps I think are very, very important. I do incorporate the 12 steps into my life. Like I said, believing I'm powerless. The first step, believing I'm powerless over my addiction. Then step 2 is you find a God, and step 3 is, I forget what step 3 is. But anyway, those are important. I'm actually reading a book with a friend, Russell Brand's book, how he goes through the 12 steps. He's also a Buddhist. I'm studying. Well, I did study Buddhism before, and I'm kind of going to incorporate that in my life. I believe in staying in the present and mindfulness, and I'm starting a meditation practice to help me with that. But I'm open to meetings. I'm open to learning more about meetings. I'm open to finding a meeting that works for me. Every time I go to meetings around here locally, I kind of feel out of it, but I'm open to that, and I think that if you need that, you definitely should go to meetings, and that's number 2. I'm gonna end it right there. I'm gonna come back on the third thing, the third part, the third step in your first success in your first 90 days. Next week, I'm sorry, not next week. On, was that? I forget what day I'm doing it on. Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever. I'm gonna come back and just do some more on that. I think it's Thursday. Come back on Thursday and talk about continue with this on the step number 3 and talk some more about that. As you can see, I think because I'm in the first 90 days, I'm kind of into it now, but I'm down to a minute. So I want to thanks Kimberly, my friend, for donating a new mic that I'm using today. I hope it sounds better. A condenser mic, a condenser USB mic. I want to thank her for that, and thank her for being a good friend throughout this. Tribe is important to me, and thanks. And thanks for listening, and hope that you come back next week if you listen. I want to take a second for the still suffering addicts. I'm always going to take time for that. It's important that if you are having an issue with drugs, that you do find some help. There is help. I know it's dark. I know it's scary, but there is a way out. If you just ask for help. And with that, I'm going to end it there. So always remember to love and respect yourself first, and everything else will take care of itself. Peace and namaste.